Welcome to Success at Scale, the podcast that covers business stories from experienced entrepreneurs, business leaders, and startup founders on how to translate business ideas into business results. I'm your host, Gregg Stein, and today we're going to talk to one of my favorite guys, Rick Williams, founder and managing director of Williams Advisory Partners. He is the author of Create Your Future for Your Company and for Yourself. He's just an awesome guy. We're going to have some fun today. You know, we talked about sailing earlier. We said we'd come back to it. Let's do it. So talk about, charting the future as it pertains to sailing.
I've been a sailor based in Marblehead, Massachusetts, I don't know, 25 years, a long time, maybe longer than any of us want to really admit. And so the last number of years, the boat, my sailboat, which is called Chariad, Chariad. Chariad has its own website, actually. You can go to it.
Oh, wow.
So we have been very successful. Year after year, we've won virtually every regional regatta and championship. We don't run every one of them every year, but we've won consistently many of them over the years. So the deal is that if you're doing a sailboat race, you have to, before the race starts, you have to think about what's the strategy. How are we going to compete against these boats from the beginning to the end of the race? We're competing against the winds, the currents, the other boats. And then once you get underway, you're dealing with the tactics. Okay, how do we compete against this boat right next to us? What do we do? And so you're both having to have a strategy at the beginning, and you deal with the tactics during the race. What do we do right now against this boat? We're coming up with a windward mark and a change sails, all that sort of stuff. And so it forces you to in effect have a business plan, preparing to start the race, a strategy for sailing the race against your competitors and against the wind, and then the tactics all the way through the race to be competitive. So we are typically will have 8 or 10 people on the boat. This is not a smaller boat. So you're having to get 10 volunteers, including myself, to show up on a Saturday or Sunday morning and work together as a team. These are not people who are getting paid to work. We have to work collaboratively as a team. We have to practice. We have to say, okay, who's best at doing this job and that job? And it has been so helpful to me over the years to, in my mind, and I'm like many people, I say, I really know how to do that. I could just go and pull that line, set that chute, whatever it is myself. I can't do that as the leader. I have to work with the team that's on the boat, help them collaborate as a team. And these boats are big enough, so you can't even talk from one end of the boat to the other. If I could be yelling, go do something, people at the other end of the boat can't even hear what I'm saying. So you have to have the team that really knows how to collaborate and work together as a team. Incredibly valuable to me as lessons to me that I've learned over the years as the leader of that kind of a highly competitive and successful team.
Wow. I mean, what's so like analogous to all of this, right, is, sailing is your passion. My passion is music and drums and all of this. Right. But either way, no matter how you look at it, both of us are looking through the lens of our passions in the world of business. Right. And it's really, I think that's why it's so important, no matter what your passion is, no matter what your interest is, to continue to pursue those, to continue to make sure that those thrive, because it only gives you more perspective and, bringing people together in a team, setting, the way you're thinking about leadership. That's why I specifically asked you about sailing and how it's all related, and writing books and boards. And because to me, as I talk to you, many times we've talked before, it just strikes me as like, while we're very different and, we have different passions, like we're kind of looking at things through similar lens in a weird way.
Right. Exactly right. Yeah, no, I think if you are, and maybe this is just how you and I think about it, but the people who live very narrow lives, and they don't, in my mind, they're not experiencing the richness that they could. But also, if you, and for myself, I'm learning lessons from sailing that are directly applicable to lots of other things I do in my life. And not because sailing, therefore, that's unique about learning lessons. It's not that at all. It's if I had to learn how to become very disciplined and good as a piano player, it would be very similar. I would be learning myself what do I have to do to be really good at something for myself. And I suspect that's what you get out of your music, that learning something, how to do something really well, translates into other parts of your life.
It does. It's so interesting. There's a real discipline that's associated with becoming, any level of mastery of anything, right? If you're going to get to a certain level of proficiency, you have to really put in that practice and all of that stuff. However, for me, the interesting thing is when I go to sit down behind a set of drums, so I see the world through that lens, right? So when I sit down, I imagine, that I'm on stage, right? I've got to have the right rhythm. I've got to have the right basis for everybody. It's got to feel good. I got to have a good feel. Then I got to look around and I got to understand the harmony and the melody and how it all intersects so that the entire, group can sound good. But guess what? The most important person is out there. That's the audience. And playing to the audience and not playing for yourself, which many musicians do, right? And then you take that into the world of business. Now think about it. It's totally analogous, right? So I'm sitting there. If I don't have the right rhythm and the right cadence of my meetings, of my day, of whatever, it falls apart, right? I don't get enough rest. I come in late, whatever it is, it falls apart. If you don't have the right synergy between the people in the group, in that meeting, on that board, it doesn't work. If we're playing for ourselves, meaning, oh, here we are thinking we're the best, and like the audience, meaning the customer, doesn't like what we're selling or the message or the brand or whatever, it doesn't work. So this is, to me, it's all kind of the same thing, and I think, for people to really be great at what they do, whatever it is, they've got to, look around, the world, right, a little bit too. It can't just be about that, transactional thinking alone. I mean, that's important. Don't get me wrong, but it's got to be a holistic person. That's what I've loved about the conversations I've had with you. You think about things in a 360-degree way, which is refreshing. So where can people find this book? Where can they find you online? Where can they learn more about you? Give us a shameless plug. Let's go.
If you go to my website, I have a website. The website is WilliamsAdvisoryPartners.com. So my website, it's my board of directors and advisory website, WilliamsAdvisoryPartners.com. The book actually has its own website, createthefuture.solutions, createthefuture.solutions. And my sailboat website is Chariot. It's CHARIAD, chariot.com. And I look forward to hearing from anybody who wants to get engaged with me.
I love it. Rick, I got to tell you, man, it's always a pleasure hanging with you. But today was especially interesting. I hope it's super helpful to our listeners. Thank you so much for joining us, Rick. For anybody that's listening, this is Success at Scale with Triple G Ventures. We love having you guys and hope to keep bringing you some great stuff. For anybody that's listening, please like, share, subscribe, all that social media stuff that, it's cool. I'm trying to be hip, but, it doesn't really work. But, what are you going to do? Anyways, thanks for listening. And until next time, we'll see you real soon. Stay safe and peace.